Bush has got more than a few headaches. In the last poll I saw,
my question was, but please answer my question.
No, not
I'm
at
a Kerry
all.
supporter, but did he make a mistake going on vacation?
No.
Why
Our
not?
campaign is on schedule. First of all, George Bush spent $60 million, and we're still in a dead heat. And in fact, John Kerry is leading in many of the battleground states. These ads do what we've planned all along. They present to the American people a man with a lifetime of service and strength to his nation, who offers this country a totally different direction, who's going to get our economy back on track, create jobs, make health care more affordable.
I know the drill, but I as someone who likes John Kerry, I want to see him define himself very clearly to the American people. Does he have the right message out at this point, Marla? Because, you know, there's been some consternation and lots of press, people who are both pro and anti-Kerry, saying he hasn't gotten the message out properly yet.
Oh, I think he's done a great job, and I think these ads continue that. I love the ads, number one, but I think the ads say what John Kerry's been saying all along, which is that he offers America a different kind of leadership. He offers America a lifetime of strength and service and a record that really can't be matched.
Terry, at least here's a situation where John Kerry's ads, for the most part, have talked about John Kerry. George W. Bush's ads have, for the most part, talked about John Kerry.
That's exactly right.
Terry, listen, for Terry, I mean, President Bush has gone negative, tried to define Kerry, misrepresented his record, and put a false idea about who John Kerry is out there.
Well, it's not a false idea, really. He voted for higher taxes 350 times. He's voted against
and voted lower taxes more than 300 times as well.
Oh, come on.
Yes, let's be honest.
I'll tell you, Alan, there's a fascinating factoid in one of those spots. He takes credit for creating 20 million new jobs in 1990. But he himself wrote a letter to President Clinton saying that he supported the 1993 tax bill with great ambivalence. And then,
I got to tell you, Terry, you're working for a guy who's lost more jobs than any president since Hoover. I'm not sure I'd go in that direction.
Well, I'm obviously not going to talk during your time, Marla. I try to be polite during these interviews. But I'll tell you this. That same bill that Kerry voted for also raised taxes on seniors and also did a lot of other things and
really helped the economy, Terry.
The family.
Terry, and I'm
balancing the budget helped the economy, Alan.
Terry, I keep hearing about Kerry, and this has like become a mantra from Republicans: raise taxes 350 times. You're including times when he supported an alternate Democratic bill as opposed to the Republican bill that was out there, and so it's unfair and it's inaccurate to say he voted to raise taxes 350 times. At least be honest when you represent his record.
Well, the record is absolutely clear, and if you'd like to sit down, I'll walk through every single record, every single vote, all 350 of them. I'd love to come up and visit with you. Maybe we could do it over a long lunch.
Well, I'd love to do it. It would be a very long lunch, Marla, to go over those bills. Let's be fair here, Marla, and let's talk about some of those votes.
It would be a very short lunch, I think.
Let's talk about some of those votes, Marla. We know that John Kerry, there are a number of votes in any one bill. To say you voted more than one way on any bill, you could say that about any senator, any congressman of any party.
Listen, I think that's exactly right. And I think what Terry's doing is what George Bush has done throughout this campaign. George Bush doesn't have anything to offer the American people, so what he's doing is going after John Kerry.
All right, let me step in here, Marla.
For where George Bush wants to go.
Terry, I actually got a copy of the votes, and I did check the record. And in fact, you are correct. You are accurate. The only issue he has been consistent on throughout his career is to vote to raise taxes, and it is accurate. They don't dispute the fact. 350 times he voted to raise them. Now, I want to ask you a question, Marla. I find this amazing, and maybe you can educate me here. Here's a guy that was Michael Dukakis's lieutenant governor. Here's a guy that's been in the Senate for 19 years. And how is it after 19 years, what you guys have set out to do here is define him, to tell us who he is? Doesn't his voting record tell us that?
Listen, I think for most Americans, they judge candidates on a number of different things. They want to know who you are. They want to know where you come from.
We don't know who he is after 19 years?
I got to tell you, for most Americans outside of the state of Massachusetts, which John Kerry's represented so ably, they don't know who he is. Because most Americans don't pay attention to anybody. They barely know who their own senator is.
19 years is a long time. Terry, let me go to you, and because I find this amazing. And I think Democrats and the Kerry campaign, when the New York Times has a headline, Kerry struggling to find a theme, as they did in this Sunday edition, top fold of Sunday's edition. Well, we know who John Kerry is. When Reagan was winning the Cold War, John Kerry wanted a nuclear freeze. When there was a bill to give the death penalty to terrorists who kill Americans, he voted against it. When John Kerry had multiple opportunities to lead on Iraq. He's taken at least 9 different positions that I can count of, culminating with I voted for the $87 billion before I voted against it. I think we have a pretty. I think we have a pretty good idea who he is. He's a weak on defense, weak on intelligence senator who now wants to run away from his record.
Oh boy!
Excuse me,
go ahead, Terry.
Martha,
but then I've got to
Martha,
get in there.
Marla, that's Terry. Terry.
I understand.
Well, I just think that, it's troubling that John Kerry would try to reinvent himself for the presidential election.
Yeah.
And why he would be so uncomfortable in his skin as not to run on that record. If that's his philosophy, put it out there. There are people out there that would support his positions,
what these ads
you can't
are about.
be two things.
We're not talking about the ads, but here's the point here. How is it that this guy, in February of this year, Marl, and maybe you could explain this to our audience, he goes to Detroit and he's looking for votes from the auto industry, and he brags about all the SUVs he has, including a Chevy Suburban. Then on Earth Day, when he's asked about the same issue, John Kerry says, no, I don't own those.
If you guys want to match up environmental records, I'm happy to match up John Kerry's environmental record against George Bush's.
Marla, please listen to the question, then you can answer.
I'm hearing where you're going.
All right, here's what I'm saying. So then he says to the Earth Day people, I don't own SUVs, my family owns them. Well, people take that as a guy that's politically pandering. Why can't he be straight with the American people and say the same thing on every given day?
I'm just not going to accept the premise of your question, because I think John Kerry is straight with the American people.
Why did he give 2 different answers then on the SUV question? He says one thing to Detroit and he says one thing on Earth Day. Why?
Listen, you can take the question wherever you want. I'm going to answer it the way I want, and that's to say that John Kerry's been straight with the American people from the very beginning of this campaign, from the very beginning of an extraordinary career.
Marla, wait a minute.
No, I'm not going to allow you to destroy the record of an extraordinary man.
For the benefit of our audience, he said in Detroit he bragged about the SUVs he owns. On Earth Day, he denied owning them and said his family owns them. Why would he take 2 different positions like that?
I'm not going to play your game. I'm going to use this opportunity to talk to the people who are listening to your show about who John Kerry is and what he represents.
Terry, I think this is the point. It's not a game. It's a matter of truth-telling and consistency and honesty.
For you guys, it's a game, and I'm not going to play.
Terry, obviously, she doesn't want to play because there's no answer to it. Is the problem for her?
No, there is, because you guys, and let me talk about a different subject, because something that George Bush ought to be.
Because you don't want to answer the real question. Okay.
No, Mr. Hannity, let me make this point, because there's something Republicans ought to be ashamed of, and George Bush ought to be ashamed of. You guys are questioning John Kerry's record on a range of different places, and it's just let's talk about where we want to take the country. Let's talk about where George Bush has taken America.
We are up against the break here. We're going to pick it up right there, right after the break. And coming up, more American soldiers are in trouble over photos of Iraqi prisoners being abused in U.S. custody. Is this just the beginning? Is the problem more widespread than we thought? And then compelling stories of the struggle for civil rights in a new book by Fox News Channel's Juan Williams. Later, actress Bo Derek will be here to talk about a cause that's near and dear to her heart. It's all coming up on Hannity and Colmes.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Dew. Investigators in Turkey say they have foiled a multi-bomb plot targeting next month's NATO summit in Istanbul. 16 suspects were arrested, and today a Turkish court charged 9 of them with membership in an illegal organization. Among the items confiscated were bomb-making books, explosives, and CDs with training instructions from Osama bin Laden. President Bush is among those expected at the June summit. The U.S. is hoping that Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon's Gaza withdrawal plan will be carried out in some form. Sharon is now planning to make some changes and hopefully win the approval of his Likud party. Yesterday, Sharon's own party overwhelmingly voted down his plan to withdraw from the Gaza Strip and parts of the West Bank. In a rare show of support, South Korea is sending aid to North Korea. The country is still struggling after last month's deadly train explosion. North Korea is not only accepting the supplies, it's also allowing the South to help rebuild a town that was destroyed in the blast. The April 22nd explosion killed at least 161 people. And President Bush on the campaign trail in style. This patriotic bus features leather chairs, wood-paneled walls, this presidential seal, a flat-screen TV, and yes, gold sinks. The president boarded his new wheels today and set out on a 2-day bus tour of Michigan and Ohio. More news at the bottom of the hour. Hannity and Colmes continues.
Top Story is brought to you by BP. It's time to go beyond.
What do you think we should do about our dependence on foreign oil?
These are chemists and engineers at the oil companies. I mean, they know how to do research, and if there's research that exists on alternative sources of fuel, and I'm saying they should stop looking for oil, but I think it could be profitable for them to look at other ways, diversifying their portfolio.
Never in a million years.
Never gonna happen.
Never say never. Now lease a 3 Series, nicely equipped, for $289 a month. Visit your BMW Center for a test drive.
What can a fitted sheet teach us about a secure